Hello, I'm here to talk about a course called Obsessing After Infidelity When One Partner Can't Move Forward by Dr. Ellen Bader. Dr. Bader developed this method and is considered one of the pioneers of couples therapy. And she takes a developmental point of view on infidelity. And I know a lot of us at PSP work in more relational type therapies. And so this one, I think the attitude comes off in a different way. But having a human development background, I can see how this one's really valuable. So let me tell you a little bit about it. She has a stage model for working through this and is really good at breaking things down in a clear way. I have the slides for everybody, so if you want to check those out, I think that they're really helpful. The main standpoint that she takes on infidelity is one that from the clinician point of view, it takes a lot of internal fortitude from the clinician to be in this work. And two, that infidelity is not about sex and it is more so about the person's unwillingness. And actually, if we're talking about a couple, it's both people's unwillingness to move into the differentiation stage of the relationship. And in some ways, they're very stuck together in the infidelity because it keeps both people from having to move forward developmentally, which I thought was interesting. It's an intriguing point of view on things. In her words, it's not about the sex, it's about the dishonesty and willingness to betray the trust of the partner. What happens a lot of the time is people come in for therapy and the partner who was cheated on will ruminate and stay stuck on it. And Dr. Bader's way of putting it is that obsessing serves a very important function because it stops their own development. It keeps the focus on the other person, on the cheating person. And even though it's very painful, it doesn't move the therapy forward in any real way. So she takes inventory of what the person is obsessing about and acknowledging that that's actually an important part of where the person is developmentally. In working with couples, she takes a very straightforward approach and she asks them to name some of the lies that occurred because it's about the lying more so than it is about the actual cheating, right? It's about the dishonesty. And she categorizes lies into 4 different types that help determine whether or not she'll be able to move forward with the couple. There are loving lies, lies that we tell people because we love them and we don't want to hurt them, right? Lies like not telling your mom about something dangerous that you did because you're fine and she doesn't need to know because you don't want her to worry, right? There are conflict avoidant lies where the person is covering up because they don't want to have a fight. There are passive aggressive lies where the person is like kind of being obvious that they're lying, but also don't want to have a fight. They want their lie to be taken at face value. And then there are felony lies, like lies that are really serious, even in a legal context. And these are important to assess because if one or more partners is in the sociopathic or narcissistic spectrum, it's not to stigmatize that partner, but just that therapy in that context probably won't be very productive. You may not be able to get anywhere with that couple. And at that point, it would be best for everybody to terminate therapy or to ask them to seek care elsewhere if you don't specialize in those things. Um, so one of the ways that she asks the partner to show up is she asks them directly to name one of the worst lies that they told. Um, and so in the video example, they talked about it. And then when they were talking about intimacy, because the person cheated and then was avoiding intimacy with their partner, meaning sex, um, and then their partner would be angry that they didn't want to have sex. And then the cheating person was angry, right? She called it out in a really direct way and said, "Do you know how that came from, how ashamed you were?" She's not asking them to name the emotion that's deeper in there. She's like pulling it out herself. Uh, Another example of her working with people is she puts it as pushing the edge of the couple's conflict avoidance, because that's often what we're working with is a couple that needs to have conflict, who's not willing to have the conflict. And so she pushes that edge and says, can you look your husband in the eye and ask him a question you'd really like an honest answer to? Even when he's afraid of the lies, afraid of the anger, she asks him to show up anyway. And at one point with this couple, she gets a, well, I guess. And the therapist's response is, that kind of response isn't going to cut it here. I need you to be more straightforward. And really, really profound stuff. What she points out is that the anger is at the beginning of the differentiation, and it's going to push up on the places where both people have been avoidant and afraid of anger. I'm going to close here with a quote from her, from Dr. Bader. The ruminating partner is often very afraid of their own desires. Differentiation is the ongoing ability for any one of us to recognize our own thoughts, feelings, wishes, and desires, and be able to put them out in a non-blaming and also non-demanding way. That is going to mean often that we have to tolerate anxiety, uncertainty, ambiguity, because our partners may not like it and may not want the same thing, which means that we're in a process that can be very challenging. I hope this is helpful, and I'll be back with more.